Welcome to Tactics Time, the 2017 version of Beginner Breakdown, if you will, with a heavier emphasis on tactics. Mainly looking at, we usually look at a lot of older games, and today that's certainly going to be the case. For those of you YouTube viewers who watch our Openings Explained series, I highly recommend that you check out our recent video that we just posted on the Danish Gambit, because it's very relevant to our Tactics Time lecture today. We're going to look at two games from an okay chess player, kind of a famous guy. You may have heard of him. Came from Cuba, world champion at one point, and his name is Jose Raul Capablanca. And in both of these games, I just have to throw the disclaimer out there. He's not playing any other world champions or elite level players. Both of these are from simultaneous matches, exhibitions that masters do, in which they play several amateurs at once. Okay, and for that reason, we see him playing a gambit line. And the gambit in question is the Danish Gambit, which goes as such: e4, e5, pretty familiar moves. Now for you kids in the class, most of you would play what move here? What do you think is a reasonable move for white? Knight f3. I totally agree. What is the plan usually when we... That being said, knight f3 is a totally reasonable plan. And like you're saying, you want to get all your pieces out quickly and you want to control the center. One way that we typically control the center is by planning for a break on d4. Sometimes prepared with a c3, sometimes not. Usually, like everyone in the class suggested, it's prepared with a knight f3. The Danish Gambit is something that aims for the center break immediately in the hopes of getting attacking chances. So we're willingly sacrificing not one pawn, but two pawns for the compensation of rapid development of our minors. And I'll go back, I'm not ignoring you. Rapid development of our minor pieces and a space advantage in the form of the open B, C, and D files, which will all add up to some active attacking chances. Yes, ma'am. What did you say? We've given you two pawns. We'll allow you to exchange this one. And now we're ahead in what? Yes, sir. Okay. At the cost of two pawns. So be it. Let's see if Capablanca can make the most out of that through piece activity. And we're also, as an exercise, going to try and identify where the passive moves were for black. Okay? d6 with the idea of activating which minor piece for black? The light squared bishop. Queen b3 with a direct attack on which square? f7. Preventing the light squared bishop. What's the second plus to this move? Is that we're preventing the light squared bishop from developing, because he will be undefending which square? Well said. f7 is defended by this excellent looking knight on h6. Everybody agree? Yeah? No? No? All right. This seasoned chess veteran over here on my left is saying, yeah, knight on the rim looks kind of silly. I have to agree with you, but short-term solution to a long-term problem. Let's see how this works out for him. Some more simple developing moves. Getting our king to safety. We're only one step away from getting all of our minors off the back row, and already we can begin to see some of the compensation that we've received for giving up those pawns. The compensation, of course, is evident, namely in this king, through this king in the center, but also by the fact that he has 2 minors to develop still. And we just got to get our knight on that square that he really wants to be on, c3, so that he can solidify white's control of the center. So as I said, we need to be alert to which moves are passive that black is making, because by identifying those, we can recognize these kinds of patterns in our own play. But we can also understand why he gets into this horrible situation that he gets himself into in this game. Okay? So here, in this position, he decided to develop his light squared bishop, developing a piece. Not too bad. Was there a more active move that he could have made? Maybe a fork of some sort? Maybe a knight fork? Ah. Allowing him to simplify, right? When he's ahead in material, which is something that we do or we don't want when we're ahead in material. We do want that. Okay. All right. And is there another small plus to that? Is a knight sometimes better than a bishop? In a closed position, it is. But I'm leading you. I'm posing the question in a funny way. He'd be, getting the bishop for the knight, right? Which might prove helpful, especially when he's up 2 pawns and he's just trying to win in a 2-pawn up endgame. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. You understand why this move might be kind of scary for white? Yeah? Because he's attacking these 2 guys? Okay. Good deal. Instead of seeing that simple threat, which may have allowed him to take one of white's light squared attackers off the board, he undefends his b7 square to develop his bishop with a little trap, right? What happens if we take that undefended b7 pawn? Asisha, I have a feeling that you can spot this really quick. Say I play the foolish queen b7. Oh, you gave me a free pawn. Oh no. I'm going to take that pawn.
Then the rook will move to b8, and when the queen moves out of the way, he'll take the bishop.
Very good. Yeah, there's one possible way that this could go, but let's look at what you're talking about. Make sense? Anybody know the name of that tactical idea that the rook just executed right there? Okay, got a nice class participation today. Excellent. Okay, cool deal. So we see some of the hidden threats. So maybe not such a bad move, but more active, more direct was knight a4. Bishop d7, trying to set a trap against the world champion, which, of course, he didn't fall for. Attacking the loose, or the once defended e4 pawn. Twice defending the e4 pawn. Imaginably castling to safety. Who wants what side at this point? Raise your hand if you want white. If you want white here. All right, my attackers like white here. Okay. All right. Talking about something I was talking about last night. Aaron Nimzovich. Some of you guys may have heard of him. I know Jason definitely has. Famous author of My System. Is famous for saying a lot of funny things, a lot of funny maxims and rules of thumb about chess. And one of them that he is famous for saying is that, especially in these e4 lines, the knight on c3 has a moral obligation to occupy the square d5 at the first opportunity, achieving some of the goals that Adriana set out for us at the beginning here, namely control of the center through occupation and use of our minors. And here, it's just super strong, right? That knight's going to d5 with force, with a pretty obvious threat, which black is able to avoid, but at the cost of a tempo and a developing move, giving white yet another free move. And one thing that it's occurring to me that I should have pointed out to you guys, I want you to tell me, you all raised your hand after black castled long on the queen side, or after black castled long. What was the most obvious bad thing about that move? That we were putting the king on a file, on the same file as the enemy queen. Yes. After fulfilling his moral obligation and clearing a space on the C file, white is able to accentuate that weakness or emphasize it by putting yet another heavy piece on the C file, directly opposed to black's vulnerable looking king, looking more and more vulnerable as this game goes on. All the cost of a few passive moves after being greedy in the opening. Knight g4. What are some of his ideas here, do we think? Black's idea is knight e3, and what of fe? Am I missing some fancy tactic? Or are we just forgetting about this guy? So, or maybe I misheard you. You said knight e3, or did you say something else? I said knight e3. Okay, so sometimes that's cool. This time might be a bit dubious. Yes, sir. Knight e5 is not bad at all. Asish, what do you think? Queen h5 is the kind of idea that I'm looking for. And the one that to me makes the most sense of this knight g4 move. Not to mention he's just getting his knight off the rim, because like they say, it looks pretty dim, pretty grim right there, right? So he wants to centralize his knight, but one hidden threat in that position might be the idea of getting the queen to h5 and the knight to d4. Yes, yes, yes. How does Jose Raul Capablanca react to that? With an attack of his own, of course. His pieces are better placed, more active. He's just like the knight was obligated to go to d5. When the center is open, your pieces are more developed. Are you obligated to resign, run away, play passive, or play active? Yes, thank you. Yes. All right. So we see the queen h5 idea and the simple refutation of h3, caking the knight to honestly not too horrible of a square, e5, which is why we're going to concede our bishop pair for it, because we just don't want that guy there. And we can also understand without too much thought why he would capture with the pawn and not with the knight. What's one just simple reason that we can identify without calculating? The C file is open, right? You're going to take off one of the pieces in between two heavies and your king? Not without good reason. Knight e7 check. Knight e7 check is coming. You're all over it. I'm going too slow. No? Okay. Knight e7 check, answered by king b8. And knight c6, speak your mind. Yeah? No? Okay. Can we already start to see the outlines of some tactical threats? What's that? Is white going to mate? He's going to threaten mate, and I believe black resigns before we see it on the board. And of course, we'll follow it all the way through. But yeah, we got a mating attack going, which is why I'm going to slow down a bit. Excuse me? He is in check. Forced capture. Are we obligated to capture with the bishop? Or is it just a good decision? Just a good chess decision? Yeah. Why is this move dubious or doubtful? Depending on what kind of ridiculous defense he does. If he just throws away bishop b4 or something like that, right? Yeah. Right, so the young man is pointing out what we're talking about, that bishop takes c6 is far more reasonable because this is just walking into some pretty obvious mating threads, right? And here, there aren't many effective blockers, are there? All right, so I think that's what you had in mind, right? Okay, excellent. So we understand why opening the same file that our king is on is typically a bad idea. Either way, rook a b1, still a pretty killer move, right? What are some of our ideas here? I'm going to make the move for black. This is the move made in the game. Bishop c5.
Bishop a6.
A little bit more reasonable. Bishop a6 is pretty solid, except I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm still going to lose material, but there might be some defenses to it. Let's hear some other ideas before we start looking at any of them. I'm going to go with Adriana first. Yes. Bishop f7. Devious. What are you trying to threaten there? Yes, so the young man has a tactical idea here. But say I don't take, then we might, I don't know, we're still crushing, but we might have to rethink our plan, right? No? We have another follow-up here, maybe? Okay. On the right track, I have to say. Yeah, this is still pretty crushing. But he's gonna kind of make it work for it. He's gonna try to.
We take c6.
Clearly. Exploiting where's the pin?
Rook.
Obvious.
Pinning the pawn.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Brutal. So we can almost say that after this move, queen e8, there are a whole lot of winning chances, right? Whole lot of winning moves. Capablanca, over the also strong looking ideas, bishop f7 and bishop a6, chose bishop b5. And Adriana, bishop e6, I think we might just be overlooking the fact that the queen can just recapture on e6, okay? Bishop b5, though, accomplishes a lot of the exploitation of this pinned b pawn and our pressure along the b and c files that the other moves did, but arguably in a slightly more effective way, perhaps. You know what, I have to concede, in the spirit of objectivity, bishop a6, I believe that might be strongest, but I'm still pretty impressed that Capablanca in 1911 probably played this instantly, and he was probably blindfolded and playing, 5 or 10 other games at the same time. Bishop b5 being responded to in a very passive way with bishop d6, and just because of all the previous analysis of the last 2 moves, 2 or 3 positions, I know that all of this makes sense to you guys. Maybe, right? Easy. And here black resigned. In question as to why? Or does this look resignable to you? Yeah, to everyone here. Okay. Hopefully we got our fill of tactics and, crazy gambit opening theory. We learned a little bit about controlling the center, the difference between active moves and passive moves. If you watched it online, hit like, share, subscribe. Again, thanks to all of you. Have a good night.